the wise man, 4.5 million years. And in these years, and all the human beings were started here in Africa. You are all Africans. If you see Chinese, Europeans, all those are former Africans. This is because the human species did not exist outside Africa until about 100,000 years ago. That's when these groups started living. Now, in those years, the human race has a lot of experience if we want to use it well. Experience that is negative and also positive. Therefore, I would really like to appeal to leaders in the world to stop shallow thinking. Small things, they are not able to see what is beneficial, and then they cause so much problem and selfishness, egocentrism, because the whole experience of the human race is there. So that arrogance of groups. Now the Europeans were right to try and see how to outflank the blockade of the Turkish. But the problem they made was that when they came to Africa and to Asia, they didn't come for trade, they didn't come for equitable interaction, they came for colonization. This is where the whole nonsense starts. So they start by taking slaves to the new, what they were calling the New World, and in the end, they establish colonies here. Therefore, to cut a long story short, by 1900, the whole of Africa is colonized except for Ethiopia. But the African people, they are tough people. They don't die easily. Africans are very tough. That's how they could manage the slave conditions in the New World and survive. They're still there. You can see them there. They survived. So those who went to the New World survived. We who stayed here survived, in spite of the slave trade, in spite of colonialism. But also, you Africans, you need to know that Africa was colonized because of internal weaknesses. Don't only blame the outsiders. Because the Europeans, you remember, they tried to colonize China, but they couldn't. China was still disorganized, feudal, but they ended up only capturing Hong Kong and Macau, and that was all. They were not able to conquer the whole of China. Even Japan, they couldn't conquer Japan. So Africa was conquered because of internal weaknesses. We could have defeated the Europeans. We could have defeated them. But our chiefs were just putting on monkey skins, running around half naked. So by 1994, South Africa gets freedom, and we think we have ended the shame of African capitulation. And this was a good opportunity for the Western countries to stop nonsense. Because Africans are forgiving people, we don't hold grudges. We said, okay, the past is the past. Even some of the people have been saying reparations. Me, I have never joined those people to say, because it was partly our fault. Why didn't we defeat these idiots when they came here? Why are you conquered? You are an idiot yourself. You can't say, I was conquered. What were you doing? Why couldn't you organize yourself? The idea that Europeans had guns, this is not correct. Those guns of those days were no better than spears. They were very inefficient, very inefficient weapons. And in some cases, where the Africans organized well, like in Sandurwana. In Sandurwana, there is a place in South Africa called in Sandurwana, where Tsetshwayo defeated the British in 1879. They could defeat, we could have defeated this, they could have defeated these invaders, but they were bankrupt themselves. So you must look at the internal weaknesses, not just look at the outside. So anyway, by 1994, Africa had been cleared. And this is now why we needed a new start. So therefore, it is amazing to see that people can again now try to tell Africa, do this, do that. I don't feel embarrassed on behalf of those people. How dare you? How dare you? These people made a mistake. Again, it was our internal weaknesses. They invaded Libya, that NATO. They invaded an African country called Libya. So therefore, the idea of the foreigners giving lectures to the Africans should stop, because they should have learned this. But also, the idea by the African that Africa is poor should also stop, because it's not. Now, recently, there was a war in Europe. Oh, said, we are going to starve. These Ugandans here were talking like, some of them were talking like that. Even when I spoke to President Zelensky, he rang me and we spoke on the phone, the president of Ukraine. He was also telling me about food, that we can give food to you. I said, please, we don't need food in Uganda. We have got a problem of too much food here. Where to export it? So please, for food, so these people said, oh, there's a shortage of food. I said, what food? They said bread. But why are you eating bread? Why don't you eat cassava? You have got all the food you need here. Yes, we don't grow so much wheat because that's not our culture. Me, I don't eat wheat, I don't eat rice. I eat your food. And we have a lot of it here in Uganda. There are a few of our areas which have some shortage because they are a bit dry. But it's not because of lack of food, it's just lack of money to buy the food from the farmers to give it to them. So food. So therefore, two things. Number one, talking quietly and politely but firmly to our foreigners that please stop this. Don't give lectures again. Don't. Just talk about your own things. Don't give me a lecture. When it comes to the issue of homosexuality, we need a clear understanding ourselves. What is the starting point? That's why I'm interested in the comments of the professor from Kenya. Because we had some few homosexuals here, even before colonialism. In the last 200 years, in this part of the world, I am aware of about 4 or 5 names which were being whispered They were being whispered. They whisper. They don't talk openly, but they whisper. About 5 of them. Now, the question is it genetic? Is it hormonal? Is it psychological? So I would like to sit down here and hear the comments of the professor from Kenya. Professor who? Ongeri? Jina lake nani?
Wahome.
Wahome.
Yes, Dr. Wahome.
Wahome anatoka wapi?
Anatoka Kenya.
Kenya wapi? Come Wahome.
Go up here.
Wahome anatoka wapi Kenya?
Wahome anatoka Nairobi. I am born from a family from Nyeri, but I live in Nairobi.
Ni jina la Kikuyu?
Ni Kikuyu.
Wahome. Wahome maana yake nini?
Wahome is, the translation would be a good caretaker of a herd.
Oh. Because kuhoma here means to plaster the house. So, who is the homosexual, the genuine homosexual, not these ones who are copying or being mobilized? But the genuine one, what is he? Is it hormonal? What is the problem?
The greatest problem, Your Excellency, is childhood adverse events. These are children who have either been molested or children who have been neglected emotionally or who have been abused emotionally. So broken families create homosexuals. So they are children who are very broken, but it is not genetic, it is not hormonal.
So it is psychological?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, so then that's the starting point. I think thank you very much, thank you. That is the starting point, that we start with that one and answer it. And once we answer it, then the question is, what do you do? The bill is coming to me, but I will call you the MPs, and I will call back Dr. Wahome and other doctors, and we answer that. This original homosexual, what is his problem? Is it, for me I thought it was hormonal, but Wahome is saying no, it is not hormonal, it is psychological. Huh? Yes. But because of me, I have been asking these questions whenever this issue comes up, and when we discuss with these lecturers from the Western countries who come to lecture us, I tell them that there is no way, because the homosexual, the few cases which we had here were definitely deviations from the normal. They are deviations from the normal. They are deviants. They are not the normal. Now, the mistake of the Western, some of the Western groups, and I'm glad to see these people, wonderful people like the ones who are here, to know that in the West there are some still human beings who believe in normal life. They attempt to if there is a deviation from normal, if there is an abnormality, how would you seek to universalize an abnormality? And how would you seek to establish an abnormality as an alternative way of life? There are two ways of life, the normal and the abnormal, and then you put it there. If there is an abnormality, why don't you seek to treat the abnormality? And to isolate it, not to spread it. So definitely there's something wrong with these groups, the leadership in the West. There must be some serious issue there, some structural problem. I can't know what it is, because I have studied human evolution and philosophy. There's nothing, but there's something that's funny that is going on in some of these places. So therefore, we shall, when the bill comes, I will call you people, the MPs of Uganda, we shall sit down. Now we have the answer now. We seem to have the answer for the homosexuals. It seems they are, in fact, it doesn't seem, what was clear was that there were deviants, but what I was wondering was whether the deviation is caused by the hormones or by the psychology. Now it seems it is more the psychology than the biochemistry. Now, once we shall now see what medicine we have for that, and I will discuss with you. Now that leaves the second layer now, because this is the focal person. The focal person is you can call him genuine homosexual, the one who feels attracted to same sex. But then the danger is now him trying to recruit others now. The funding, that's what we cannot tolerate. And I want to congratulate our parliament for being very, very but also, there's also another cultural clash between us and here I am a homosexual. What are you telling us now? So that publicizing is also totally unacceptable. So therefore, I want to salute the Ugandan parliament. They didn't come to discuss with me. We didn't discuss it before. They started on their own. Private members' motion. It's now that I'm coming in. But it's good that you have taken an independent stand, and we have always taken an independent stand, not only on this issue, but also on other issues. And now, the bill is coming to me. I haven't seen it yet, but when it comes, I will call you, and we shall harmonize and protect our children. There will be no promotion of homosexuality in Uganda. But you heard what our guest, what is her name? Our guest, the lady.
Miss Sharon Slatter.
Slatter, Mama Slatter. Mama is a word for respect, the mother. You heard what Mama Slatter said? This disoriented person, how do we handle him or her? I studied English in the schools. There's an English word called insufferable. Somebody is insufferable. Really, it goes on your nerves. You feel like exploding. this person, why does he, you really feel, you pity him. How can somebody think like this? Looking at me and thinking that I am to be told, do this, do that, because of some little help. It's really madness. So, finally, I want to assure Madam Slaughter that there will be no comprehensive sex education here. Why? Why? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Why? You see, these people are really, they have lost their mind. In the book of Ecclesiastes, in the Bible, there is a passage which says, there is time for everything. There is time for this, there is time for that. There is time for this, there is time for that. Now, children are children. They need to grow as children. How can you now invade their childhood and you start lecturing them about adulthood? What, are you normal? What's wrong with you? Yes. Maybe Dr. Wahome can tell us, just briefly, child psychology. Is child psychology really helped by, because when you are a child, you are playing with the, I used to see my children, Mohozi and my girls, they like the comics, things, funny things. They don't have time for serious topics of this and that, and they want they want amusement. So what psychology are these using? Dr. Wahome, you help us if you can. A child really is a child fitted to deal with issues of adults.
Your Excellency, the brain is the last organ to mature. And the part of the brain that makes us sexual matures about the age of 12, 13. And that's when really the children would start asking issues about sexuality. But the part of the brain that helps them to reason, to make good decisions, does not mature until 22 years of age. And therefore, if you cannot teach a child to make good sexual decisions, it is not possible. That's why we have the age of 18 as a cutoff for what children can be allowed to do without parental guidance and what they can do on their own. You remember that was a compromise because of the war. Otherwise, it had always been 21. Yeah, so the child doesn't need to be exposed to sexual matters until the natural inclination starts.
So it's really very, very bad. That children, instead of being children, now they become sexual consultants.